In that winter of 2020, where I was most happy, where I met him a few months before then, end of summer to be specific of when. I'd met him on Tinder, but he doesn't remember. I gave him my Snapchat, but he doesn't remember that. It took me a few months to reply back. He wanted my time right off the bat. Before that November holiday, we had a game night. At my place, alone, I stay, where my eyes first met his sight. Being super extroverted, my space, eager to share, my mind formally alerted to the potential love interest there. He brought his Switch, which often stayed near my R&B music, which often played. Because it was easy, I put myself through hell. Singing Sesame Street, I told Danielle I would never forget that spell. In the beginning, I said no. In the ending, I said no. In the middle, I said, oh, my life is full circle. I'm a fan of strife, my favorite weapon, the knife. Not long before I met him, I thought to do my life in, fantasizing, deaths darken, reminding, look at how I'm living. A gander. By lust is how he's driven. Remember, my trust can't be given. He learned choreography. That was a first for me. Dance, my passion, trance, his skin. I noticed his eczema. He noticed I was flexible. He studied my schema. For his goal, understandable. One game night of just dance. Later, I said no. He didn't keep it in his pants. Waited to get comfortable. Complimenting my fighting stance. We played Mario Kart. Get me competitive. That's smart. He drove me to St. Louis. Said I could be his miss. He drove me to my favorite road, the fair Bethel. He matched us like the lightest load. Out there was where I fell. I suppose I bought what he was trying to sell. A continuous thought. We knew this well, but we seemed to fit, so we decided to sit. Alcohol on that first date, my addiction ate. Into the new year, into a new relationship. Another red flag appears. I didn't abandon ship. Almost had another girl pregnant. His boast to me of this segment. He'd rather it be me to be the mother of his child. The intent was his feet, my rationalizations running wild. 0 or 100, I've always said. And with that, I stayed in his bed. Work-life balance buries a lot of rants. I don't argue, I don't complain, nor do I let feelings stew. I was raised to refrain. I had my medical deterioration attached to our soon-to-be series of physical compilations. It wasn't the first time. It wasn't the second time. It wasn't the third time. And it wouldn't be the last time. Muscle relaxers in my system, lidocaine patches on my back to numb, alcohol to swig on, nicotine to pig on, THC, CBD at my fingertips, backup drinks in my bag for sips. His addition to my winter weather, per my tradition, I kept it together. My responsibility would not alter, my bills would not falter. I would break my back trying to get to school, go to work knowing I wouldn't be fooled. He didn't want to take me around his friends. He'd say, I don't know how to have fun. On my future, my life depends. My work is never done. He didn't understand. Rest felt like reprimand. He was always sitting down. He was always lying around. I would always clean. Addiction took my afflictions from the scene. The only one he knew about, the alcohol, where he found his doubt, us, resolved, but not without. By lust, he is driven. My trust can't be given. I remember his string. I remember his stories about a string of girls treated poorly. Red flag. The younger me would snag. There would be no lag. She wouldn't see her smile sag. From childhood trauma to relationship dilemma that she created herself, she went and kicked in his shelf so that she could unearth what this boy was worth. Red flag. What up, bitch? Answering the phone. Red flag. He won't clean up on his own. Red flag. His cooking is always postponed. Condoms strewn everywhere. Clothes unwashed. He doesn't care. Dishes for months. Why am I there? I chose that perspective. My learning is collective. He did sometimes say thank you. To me, well, what can you do? Why did I think that so much? And negatively as such, there's not much that can bother me. Honestly, it's pretty hard to upset me. Positively, doesn't take much to make me happy. Being around calm energy, especially. Now that energy is me. Tranquility, serenity, for the life of me, for the death of me. Ready for my favorite tune? The Room. I can make it roar. I can make it whisper. I can fill it with respect. I can fill it with wither. Above all, with me in the room, energy has its altar. It wasn't the first time. It wasn't the second time. It wasn't the third time. It wouldn't be the last time. Muscle relaxers in my system, lidocaine patches on my back to numb, alcohol to swig on, nicotine to pig on, THC, CBD at my fingertips, backup drinks in my bag for sips. He always comes in silence, waiting for my voice to quiet. His kiss is not sweet. He pulls away the warmth of his feet. I do enjoy his hug, keeps me nice and snug, like a place I can't get out of. He flinches at the word love. He goes straight for my couch. Though my back is messed up, I lean down to a crouch. Open your eyes up. I need to lay down. There is an unspoken join me. I obey without a sound. His silence is the loudest kind behind my own. My exhaustion had me truly thrown. In that mindset, I was alone. In that mindset, he'd already known. My body said sleep, his eyes said cheap. How many times did I think no before I let it go? I'm really good at not sweating the small stuff. I understand reality to be tough. I must have not cared enough because my body was there when I didn't want to share. For him, that's enough. Each time I stopped moving would be when he moved in. Disguise is soothing. He wasn't fooling me. I was sleepy. My exhaustion was calling. His body wasn't stalling. His skin made mine crawl. Another problem unsolved. His skin wasn't clean, a torture supreme. His lust was mean because of its pressing team. And his manhood would fiend and appear on the scene. I wasn't having it, so I'd be complacent. In that mindset, I was alone. In that mindset, he'd already known. I'm sure something was awakened. My womanhood wasn't moistened. This time, he didn't ask. This time, I couldn't relax. It is on the challenge that I depend. Not for revenge, but for my will to deepen. And closed mouths don't get fed. Yet here I am, another flag red. I said slow down, his cue to go faster. I'm very strong. Muscle relaxers proved me wrong. His pace went to town. Soon it'd be after. Then I could go to sleep. What I sow is what I reap. I let him in the door when my will was sore. It wasn't the first time. It wasn't the second time. It wasn't the third time. And it wouldn't be the last time. Muscle relaxers in my system. Alcohol to swig on. Lidocaine patches on my back to numb. Nicotine to pig on. THC, CBD at my fingertips. Backup drinks in my bag for sips. They were married. We were at his friend's house. The baby, the puppy, and I had my girl with me. Later, off came her blouse. When we left that scene, we both sang, and that night, at that scene, my heart was in full scream. So it did what it does, sang. His fear surely rang at my lack of shame with Sesame Street. In bed, the baby was tame. My heart would not retreat from singing Sesame Street. With the Malibu and the poker, they were in the other room. The wife was the cooker. We would bid them good night soon. He didn't want to take me around his friends. He'd say I don't know how to fun. My work is never done. On my future, my life depends. I wanted to talk about it. He wanted to talk about it in the morning. I didn't think so. My heart's wheels turning. I kept pushing. I kept pressing. My back was hurting. His back was turning. My confidence reeked throughout the weeks with my girl he'd been flirting. In a whirl, it started hurting. I'm the one who brought her to his sight. He got her drunk on more than one night. He took her to see a truck the one time I wasn't there. Every other time, I looked out for her care. Within a few days, she thinks she's his anyways. I'm not dumb, and neither is she. I told her with him there'd be no we. Adding to his streak, they broke up after a week. He's still my friend. She's still my friend. My wisdom has deepened. It's called a lesson. I just don't sing their song. I forgive and move on. Of course, that was around my birthday, a hoarse, repetitive phase. Like me walking out the door that way, out that night and 4 miles home. I always feel right when I'm walking alone. He didn't take me for my word until he drove to me halfway. As he'd previously heard, I would not stay. He doesn't speak my dialect. Important is respect. In the beginning, I said no. In the ending, I said no. In the middle, I said, oh, my life was full circle. I'm a fan of strife. My favorite weapon, the knife. Not long before I met him, I thought to do my life in fantasizing, death's darken, reminding, look at how I'm living. Because it was easy, I put myself through hell. Singing Sesame Street, I told Danielle I would never forget that spell. A goodbye to the possibility of there ever being a him and me. By Macnea M, Mackey'Harrington.